Hi, Sarah here from Singers Advice. Well, thanks for joining me for the Singers Advice Survival Guide. So I'm going to be sharing with you some really valuable tips and tools that you can use on your journey as a singer. So I've been singing my whole life really, and I guess I was lucky enough to train at a really great performing arts school in Liverpool called LIPA. And ever since then, I've been performing professionally in different formats, from musical theatre and pop bands, jazz bands, writing and recording my own stuff. And I kind of wanted to share with you things that I've picked up along the way, that I've learnt, that I didn't know, that I wish I'd have known, and just kind of give you that advice that maybe I would have liked when I was first starting out, or even just about, you're just about to start your professional career, or you've been doing it for years and you just want to kind of refresh the things that maybe you've kind of just got a little bit lazy with. I've picked up a lot of tools and a lot of tips, a lot of things that I'd like to share with students that I teach, because I'm a vocal coach and I've done that for 13 years now. And there's some valuable things that sometimes we don't get taught, even if we do go to a performing arts school, or we don't go to a performing arts school, and we need to find these things out because sometimes people don't tell you anything, It's kind of like, there you go, off you go on your own way, make a living from your passion, off you go. And it can kind of feel a little bit scary and a little bit isolating sometimes. And especially for singers, it's kind of like, well, they don't need anything, do they? They just go off and sing. And it's absolutely not true. So I wanted to kind of share with you my tips and advice, things I wish I'd been told and wish someone had taught me about, ways in which to deal with the industry from maybe a bit more of a holistic approach as well. And I hope that you enjoy it. So let's get started. So first of all, I'd like to start with some essential things that I think all singers should do. I know I shouldn't say that you should do this, but for me, these things are essential for me. And some things might seem a little bit out there, maybe a little bit diva-ish, I don't know. We will see. But here we go. Tip 1, a warm-up regime. Now, I believe it is absolutely important to warm up before you sing. Some people don't agree with this, some people don't warm up, but for me, it's essential. And doing a warm up means that my mind and my body are focused and ready to perform or to do whatever I am about to do with singing. And so I would always suggest that you start with a short physical warm up. It can be anything stretching wise, getting rid of tension from your body. So doing neck stretches. I like to do roll-ups. They call them dancer roll-ups. You can do those. You can, get those shoulders shrugged backwards and forwards and your arms stretched backwards. Your whole body, a basic stretch, I think, is really important. So then moving on to warming up your voice, I would always suggest that you start gently and you work your way to kind of more demanding vocal exercises. So it's great to kind of get a set of exercises that you can use as your warm-up, 15, 20 minutes before you're going to sing. It just it gets your voice warmed up and ready and prepared, loosens it up, gets rid of any tension you might have, gets the vocal folds working in a singing way, because obviously while we're talking, we're not using our voices the same as we do when we sing. So it's a great way to just prepare yourself for singing. And I would always recommend a vocal warm-up. And if you need a vocal warm-up, you can find one on my website and you can go across there, and that will help you to know what to do before you are about to sing for a performance or about to rehearse with a band or practice or an audition. And it's not just, for me, the physical and the vocal warm-up, it isn't just about doing it for doing its sake. It actually gets you in the zone and it just gets you prepared for what you're about to do. Tip 2, water bottle. Water. Every singer needs one of these, no matter what. Doesn't have to be pink. I like my pink water bottle. My kids have got these smaller versions. But yeah, it's the best thing you can do for your voice. Drink water. Get a water bottle that you can drink out of quickly and easily, because if you're gigging, if you're on a gig and you need to have a drink quickly, like within like a few seconds of going into another song, you need something that you can quickly get a drink out of. And you know, it's the easiest thing to do. You get it out of a tap, you put it in a bottle, and it's the best thing for your voice ever. So 2 litres a day. You know, when I'm teaching or I'm on a gig, I can go through a few of these in a day. So yeah, it's essential. Keeps your body hydrated, which then in turn keeps your voice hydrated. It's great for you. It's flushing out your toxins. It's getting rid of any of rubbish that's in your body, and it's brilliant for your singing. So get yourself a water bottle, get it filled up with water, drink it, all good. Tip 3. Now, I'm always quite surprised that singers have never really heard of these when I suggest this to students. And my 3rd tip is to get a vocal steamer. So basically, I've had this for years. It cost me about £5. You put hot water in the bottom of it, stick this lid on, and stick it on your face. 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes of that is the best remedy for any vocal issues you might have going on. So steam is the only direct hydration you're going to get to your voice. Obviously, you know, getting in a hot bath, that's going to help. Getting in the shower is going to help. But this is right on your face. You're breathing it in. And also, it means you don't have to stick your head over a massive bowl of water. And, you know, you could use this before a gig, really. I mean, you do get a bit of a mark around your face when you've used it, but it does go off. But this is the greatest. If you've got vocal fatigue, if you are suffering with cold, cough, viruses, laryngitis, you know, anytime I've had any vocal problems, and anytime I just feel like my voice is tired or a bit dried out, I get this out. 10-15 minutes on a morning, 10-15 minutes before you go to bed. It's going to be like a new voice. So this is the greatest thing. You can pick these up online, Amazon. I got this in Boots years ago. Yeah, it's the best tool. Every singer needs one of these. So get one today. Tip 4. This one might seem a little bit diva-ish, but it is great actually, and it's a little humidifier. Now, I'm laughing because my husband thinks I'm a little bit crazy, but I have this next to the bed, and you fill it with water inside this bit. Probably needs a bit of a clean. And then it plugs in, turn it on, and a little fine mist comes out of it. And I put this next to the bed to keep the room hydrated. So like if, you know, in the winter months when the heating's been on and the air is a little bit more dry, or maybe you work in somewhere where the air conditioning's on all the time, you know, this is great for just keeping the air a bit more humid. But I like to do it while I'm sleeping, you know, so put it on. It actually lasts all night, which is great. And it switches itself off if it runs out of water. So this is a brilliant tool for a singer. And yeah, I swear by it. If I'm feeling a bit dried out and my voice is a bit tired, I stick that on next to the bed. It's great. And actually it's great for allergies and things as well, which I suffer with hay fever, and I'm allergic to pretty much any animal that lives. But yeah, this is great. So I would definitely say, you know, and this wasn't very expensive. It was probably, I don't know, £15 to £20. So yeah, it's a great tool. Tip 5, a vocal lozenge. Now, some people use Vocal Zone, some people use that hideous stuff called Sanderson's, which it's like, oh, it's like rocket fuel. You know, these for me are my go-to lozenge or lozenger. I love these, they're brilliant. I will only get this colour as well, honey and lemon, yellow ones, because they just seem the nicest, and when you've had them and you breathe in, you don't get that kind of cold like thing, which you don't want if you're about to go and sing or you're teaching someone or whatever. These are great, and Jakeman's, I'm not sponsored by them, but they are the best, and they just keep you lubricated, you know, as you know, lack of a better word, but they do. They feel nice, they taste nice, and yeah, I'd go with these. I don't like things that dry you out. So anything, you know, anything that numbs your voice, these don't numb you, they don't do anything. You can still feel what's going on. It's nothing like that. So, but I just feel these are the greatest. Tip 6 is kind of my little throw-in one here, but it's chamomile tea. I've always drunk chamomile tea because it's caffeine free. It's really soothing, and actually it's been sort of in research proven to reduce gastric acid, so it's great if you suffer from reflux like I do, and a lot of singers do, so it's great for that, and it's got stress relieving benefits, which is always great for everyone. Especially, you know, if you suffer with stage fright or anxiety and stuff like that. So chamomile tea is my go-to herbal hot drink. So moving on, I'm going to talk about singers' gear now. Now, sometimes people think they don't need anything when they're a singer, and as I've learned from, if you're a gigging singer, so you go out and you do gigs with bands, and or you want to, or you're starting out doing that, or you've been doing it for a bit but you'd like to branch out and get more of your own gigs where they might not have the equipment that you need, I think this stuff is essential for a singer, and it's essential for me, you know, as to make a living out of what I do. I have needed all this stuff, so for me it's kind of a good investment to buy some gear. So my tip number 1 for gear is the microphone. If you're going to gig, you're going to need a microphone, and this one, the Shure SM58, has been my staple microphone for 13 years. I did have an AKG one before that, which actually I really like the sound of, but this is kind of the one that looks right. You know what I mean? And sometimes you've kind of got to go with that. So the SM58 you're going to see everywhere, you know, the robust, they're used on gigs. There is a SM57 beta, which is actually probably, I think people think that they sound a little bit better, but to be honest, you know, this is great. I've never had trouble with this. I got it for about £90 all those years ago, and it's the same now, you know. So yes, you need a microphone. Your own microphone is great because no one else has been singing down it as well. You're not getting anybody else's germs, you know, not to be like that, but you know, you've got to think about your health as a singer. You don't want to be catching anything from anybody else, do you? You know, you don't want to be picking up colds all the time and coughs. So having your own mic is essential. Now, this on its own is not much use because obviously you need to plug it in. So having a microphone, you also need to have, which is number 2 on my list of gear, which is an XLR cable. So an XLR cable looks like this. It has 2 ends. Let's see if my good folding it back together has been any good. So you're going to get 2 ends, okay, one of which goes into the microphone. You might know this already, you know, but if you don't, this is, you know, essential stuff you need to know. Put it in there, and this end obviously goes into the mixing desk, which then goes into the PA. So try not to scrimp on a cable, okay? An XLR cable, your voice is going down it, so you want it to sound good, yeah? So you can get, you know, they range from about £5 to £30, or I don't know, you can probably get a super duper golden lined one that costs more. But this, you know, I've had this cable for like 10 years. So, you know, it's doing its job. I haven't had to buy any more. So yeah, definitely don't scrimp on a cable. Get a good cable, get a good mic, and yeah, that's a good start. So tip 3 would be get a music stand. A music stand. Now you might think, well, as a singer, I might not need a music stand, but I mean, I don't use it that much on gigs, but I use it for rehearsals and stuff like that. And again, don't scrimp on a music stand. I did. And I learned, you know, I bought one of those sort of flimsy things you see in schools to start with. You know, it was absolute rubbish. It fell to pieces, you know, after I'd done like maybe a couple of gigs where I needed the words or whatever. They're not robust enough. You know, they're going to get chucked in vans or chucked in the back of your car a lot. They've got to be robust. I mean, to be honest, this one's been great. I've had about 4 music stands because I didn't want to spend a lot of money on a music stand. But this one's been great. This one was maybe like £30 or something. And this has been the strongest one I've ever had. But if you want to get a good music stand, I would always suggest getting a rat stand, which my husband has one. He's a drummer and it's great. It folds down. It kind of goes into a nice compact kind of like, you know, rectangular shape, and it goes into a bag. You know, they are £89 with the bag, which is what's always put me off a bit, but I would suggest to you to get one because I've probably spent more than that on all the other rubbish stands that I've bought in the past that have fallen to pieces. In fact, this one has actually fallen to pieces and it's had to be bodged back together. Look here. But yeah, so get a good stand. Don't do what I did. Get a rat stand to start with. Now, although, like I said, I don't really use a music stand on gigs. I use it for rehearsals and things, or if I'm recording and I want stuff up so I can see it. I've moved over actually to an iPad stand because it's great. You can just attach it to your microphone stand. This was about £32 from Amazon. I'll try to put all the links of these things on underneath this video or somewhere that you can find it, because it might be useful. But this is great actually, and I've recently been doing some work with a new band and I've needed this because I've had to learn a lot of songs very quickly, and I've used this for the lyrics, which I use on my iPad. So it just slides in there and it's great. In fact, where is my iPad? And I'll show. So literally, you just slide it in there, attach it to your music stand. Ta-da! It's great. And to be honest, it looks great. It looks better than a music stand. So if you need words for rehearsals, for whatever, you know, if you've got an iPad or, you know, something that you can, electronic, that will go in something like this, then you can use that. Talking about stands, get a good mic stand. This is a boom mic stand. Again, I've had this, in fact, I've had this for nearly 20 years and it's a real good one. You know, it's just been thrown about a lot, but it's brilliant. So obviously, mic stand, clip, which should come with your microphone when you get it because it needs to fit. But in fact, actually, this one is my AKG clip, which I use with the Shure microphone. So I will look into that. I'm not sure whether I got a clip with my Shure mic when I got that. It might be something you have to get separately. So yeah, make sure your clip fits your microphone. But yeah, a boom stand is a great one. You can get straight stands. Again, I mean, I can't remember how much this cost me, but you can get a mic stand, you know, from like, again, like the music stand thing, don't get a rubbish one because it will fall to pieces. But I'd say, I don't know, maybe £100, maybe £100 for a mic stand, but it's going to last. you know, get stuff that's going to last, because if not, you're just going to be rebuying this stuff over and over again, and you don't need to, because like I say, I've had this 20 years. Who can argue with that? So tip 5 for gear, I'd say get yourself a small PA. Now, it might sound a little bit like, what? I need to get my own PA. But like I said before, if you're going out and gigging, doing your own stuff, as a singer, it's a real benefit to have your own PA. And also, you know what it's going to sound like. You know how to set it up. It's all sorted. I bought a Yamaha Stage Pass 300 years ago. Again, like 13 years ago when I got that microphone. It's great. It's small. You get 2 of these. It's portable. It's light, as you can see. So it's easy to carry around. And I love the sound of this thing. I use it for smaller gigs. Although saying that, I have used it for bigger gigs as well. You know, I use it for, we do like shows every year, like the Great Yorkshire Show and the Harrogate Flower Show. I use it for those, and it's totally enough sound. You know, if you don't need like big, massive, you know, powerful speakers, this is fab. It's great. It's a great vocal PA. This is one of the speakers. In the other speaker is you get a little mixing desk in the back of it. So this can either stay in the speaker or you take it out of the speaker. And then you've got all the stuff you need. So obviously with the microphone, you know, got the XLR cable. I won't show you totally how to work this today. I can do that in another video. But you know, you just plug it in. It's got reverb, which is great. I like a bit of reverb on my voice. You know, your other instruments, you can get, if you've got a pianist, you know, keys player can plug into this. Guitar could plug into it really if you wanted it to, but you know, if you're doing duos, trios, things like that, I do 4-piece, 5-piece gigs with this PA. It's brilliant. And yeah, I would definitely suggest it. I bought this for, I think I got it for about £350, which you cannot really get them for that now. I'd say maybe with all the stuff. So obviously you don't get the speaker stands and you don't get the other stuff with it. So like these things that you need to attach to the bottom of the stands are extra, and you get your speaker stands and whatever that you pop them on top of. So as a whole, I think you could probably pick up one of these for probably, I don't know, £500-600. The Stage Pass 300s, I think, are getting a bit more rare now, because they seem to have 400 and 600, which again, great, you know, probably like £600-700. But for a PA that I've had again for like a lot of years, that's never let me down, you know, it's been a great investment. And I definitely think that as a singer, you need to have a small PA for gigs. Number 6, having a monitor. You could get a wedge, you know. To be honest, I don't own a monitor. So I'm kind of telling you something. I should probably get one. But on the gigs that, like I've just shown you, the small PA, I don't actually need one because I can hear myself. So I don't need to have a monitor. But if you are doing something with a bigger PA, then obviously you might need your own monitor. But there's always been wedges and things on gigs. For me, when I've done bigger gigs, obviously I get a sound engineer and they bring a bigger PA. So you don't need all that stuff, yeah? But it probably is quite useful, and I should probably get one myself, which is why I'm suggesting to you to get a monitor. Now, another reason why I don't have a monitor is because on bigger gigs and things where I might need a monitor, I use in-ears instead. So I have in-ear monitors. Now, these are fantastic. If you work with a band or you've got your own band and you can afford to buy some good packs, usually Sennheiser packs, wireless packs that you can, you know, hook these up to. In-ears get molded to your ears. Now, these ACS ones I've had for, again, about 13 years when my gigging, you know, career began properly, you know. So I had these molded. These were probably about £250. Now, these have one driver in, which, you know, has been okay. I'm getting some new ones done at the moment. When I find a company that can put more drivers in my very small ears. So yeah, these are great. You stick them in your ears, and then obviously you can have the mix that you want going into your ears. You know, these are what you see people, you know, all the famous people on stage have got in ears and whatever, you know, so they're great. And yeah, so like I said, these have got one driver in. You can get 6 drivers, I think. I'd like to get 4. Now I'm getting some new ones made of these, and ACS said they could only fit 1 in because my ears were so small, but that's because they were silicone, so you can get silicone ones. They've suggested I go for acrylic. So I've moved on to cosmic ears. So I will be showing you my journey of getting my new in-ears, because I've already had to have moulds made, which were sent to ACS to get them done, but they couldn't fit 2 drivers in the silicone mouldings. So, yeah, acrylic apparently can fit more drivers in. So if you've got smaller ears like me, then yeah, the suggestion is to get acrylic. So we will see. I will get back to you on this. But these are useful. They're not essential. Like I say, you can use a wedge monitor. You don't have to have in-ears if it's not, you know, financially viable, because the new in-ears I'm going to get are probably going to be £560, but they do start from 240. So there is a range of, you know, price. There's a price range for whatever budget that you've got. But these are great for protecting your ears, obviously, because they're blocking out all the onstage sound, and you've got your own mix that you can have at whatever volume you like. So yeah, so I like using in-ears because you get a little bit more sort of control over what you can hear, which is always a good thing as a singer, because you need to hear to be able to pitch. Tip 7, now this one's pretty essential if you're going to be doing any gigs. It's having your own pad, basically. Your own pad which has the songs you know, the songs that you perform, that you sing, you know, the charts for the musicians in the right key, and having enough pads for the amount of players that you're going to be playing with. So like this is the drum pad. I usually work with a 5-piece, one of which is me. So yeah, 4 players. So I have a drum pad, a guitar pad, a piano pad, and a bass pad. And obviously then they can also put right little things in that they might need, or, you know, if the chart's not totally correct. It might need, you know, they write something in, or they might want to write a lyric in or something like that. So my charts, you know, I have a range of stuff in here. You know, I have my jazz pad, I have my pop pad, I have another pad that has my original stuff in. So for example, here is a chart for So Wonderful, which is a Emilia Matiku song, which is a very nice song. So obviously there's a very clear chart for musicians. Now, if you're doing any gigs where you're turning up and you might not necessarily have rehearsed with these people, this is really important. So it's in the right key for me. It's got everything written in, you know, it's got a little introduction written in, and you know, it's got the ending and stuff like that. Yes, that is a basic kind of chart with the chords, but obviously if you work with the same musicians, then you know they're going to understand what's going on. But it is important to have a pad. I think a lot of singers don't, you know, they just sort of turn up thinking people are going to know what key they're going to sing songs in. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head what key I sing every single song in that I know. I don't think I could remember that. You know, there's hundreds of songs. But if it's in a pad, then you know and they know, and nothing, you know, that bad is going to go wrong. So yeah, having your stuff in a pad is really important. Now, tip 8 for gear. I know it's not kind of gear, but it kind of is part of what you need for gigs. And this is the fun stuff, really, because now this is for girls, first of all. So, your staple black dress, okay? Now, I've survived my 20 years of gigging, not with the same dress. This is quite new. This is very glitzy for all the kind of functiony stuff and corporate things that I do. But yeah, your staple black dress, you can't go wrong with, you know. And for boys, obviously your black suit, your black shirt, your black normal tie, you might need a black bow tie, you're going to need a white shirt as well. Some bands, you know, they've got outfits, they'll have waistcoats for you to wear or whatever, or a certain jacket or things like that. But your essential stuff that you need is generally going to be black. Just like all the other gear, which is pretty boring. I do branch out from black. You know, if it's my own stuff, if it's my gigs with my band, I don't generally just wear black. I wear whatever colour I want. But for things that you turn up, you know, like session stuff or whatever, or, you know, you're depping for someone, you need something that it fits in, doesn't it, with everything. And also, you know, your shoes. Your staple black shoes. Now, these are comfy. These are my favourite gigging shoes. As you might be able to see, you know, there's a few scuffs on here where they've gone down stage, gaps in staging, and I've had to pull them back out again. But yeah, get some comfortable shoes. These aren't too high that I'm going to kill myself, you know, like tripping over stuff or whatever. And they're pretty comfortable. If you're going to be standing in these for 2 to 3 hours, you know, on stage, then you need something comfortable. So, you know, I can be practical as well sometimes. So in this section, I'm going to focus on kind of stuff to do with dealing with the industry, because as a survival thing, you know, we've gone through the practical stuff and the gear and the kind of things that might help you with your vocal health and stuff like that. But dealing with being in an industry which is hard and it is tough, and you know, I've had ups and downs throughout the 20 years that I've done it professionally, and you know, you need some kind of survival strategies to keep you going, because if not, it's likely that you're gonna throw in the towel and not do it anymore, because there's a lot of people doing it, you know, and there's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of this, that, and the other, and you know, everyone's like, you've got to be tough, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And it's okay knowing it, it's okay hearing it, it's okay people telling us it, but what do we actually do to get by and to survive? So that's what this section is all about. Something you will probably have to deal with and will probably have to do at some stage in your career is an audition, or many, many, many auditions. And being prepared is key, basically. So if you are prepared for an audition, which means that you know what the audition is for, you know what they're looking for, you understand what it is you need to prepare. So if it's a song or they've sent you a song, make sure you know it inside out, back to front. You could sing it in your sleep, you could sing it whenever, wherever. Now, obviously, I understand, and I've had this before as well, when I first started out, where you might get told you've got an audition the next day and they want you to learn a certain piece of a song, you know, a little bit of a song or something. Now, that you can only do what you can do. So there are times when, you know, you can be as prepared as you can be, but making sure that you are as prepared as you can be is my biggest tip, because not only will it make you feel better about doing the audition, you're going to be more confident, you're going to feel that, you know, no matter what happens, you've done your best. Because what can you do more than your best? You can't. And that for me is the biggest tip I give to students. You know, if you're going to do an audition, know what you're doing, prepare for it, go for it. When you're there, go for it, do your best, and whatever the outcome, it doesn't matter, does it? Because you've done your best. And sometimes it's not about you, it's about what they're looking for. You know, have you got the right colour hair? Are you the right, you know, do you look too much like someone else? You know, there's always a lot of factors involved in an audition process. So trying not to take things personally is a big thing, and it's something that takes a long time. You know, I'm not sure I've quite mastered that yet. You know, does anyone? As singers, we are emotional people, we're passionate people. You know, you can't just shut off your feelings. So don't beat yourself up about it. If you know, your nerves get to you, it will, because it means something to you, and that's okay. And there are ways of dealing with nerves and things like that, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Dealing with rejection. Now, rejection just comes with the business. It's going to happen. It's going to hurt. You're going to feel really bad. It's painful. This is not an industry where you can avoid it, really. So there are going to be times when you really want a job, or you really want a gig, or you really want this certain thing that you've gone for, and you're not going to get it. And I know that sounds really negative, and I'm not a negative person, but it's reality. And the thing is that's your journey as well as a singer. No matter what you do, I've had loads of rejection, and looking back now, it was the right thing. There's a couple maybe I don't agree with, but they were for reasons that weren't to do with my talent or anything like that. It was just to do with my experience, or I looked too much like someone else that was already cast, or the silly things. So rejection sometimes, because as well, as we were just talking about auditions, we don't often get a lot of feedback from auditions. So it's easy for rejection to just feel like, well, I'm rubbish, I'm not going to do this anymore. Why should I bother if no one thinks I'm any good? Well, the thing is if you know you're good, if you've worked hard at getting your voice better, your technique's good, you're prepared, you work hard, you've done all the things that you need to do, and you still get rejected, then it just wasn't meant to be. It was just not the job that you were meant to do, and that's fine. So how have I dealt with rejection along the way? Probably not very well. So that's the thing, but the thing I pride myself on is no matter how many times I've been rejected for whatever shows I went for when I first started out, bands I've worked in where, I've been replaced by a younger person or whatever, and yes, it's cut me deep, it's cut me hard, and I've felt bad about it, but I've always got back up and I've always got on with it. And what I pride myself on is that, and this is a massive tip for all singers, is create your own work. Don't wait around for other people to give you work or to give you a job or to, give you the creative expression and whatever that you need. I very much decided when I moved back from London, 14, 15 years ago, that I was going to make my own, create my own work, because that kind of audition rejection wasn't really working for me. It just wasn't the life I wanted. I wanted to work in a career where every day I was doing something that I loved and that I was passionate about. So I decided I'm not going to put myself through this process anymore, because not only is it not good for my mental health, I don't really like this situation. I don't like the lifestyle. I don't like all the things. So creating your own life, creating your own career the way that you want it is key, really, to you having a successful career. So dealing with rejection, you could say, well, you need to get really tough. You need to let things bounce off you and all that kind of stuff. I don't really agree with that. I think we take rejection, and we look at it and we look at the things that might have been wrong, that we might need to work on, that we might need to do. But at the end of the day, if we know that we're good at something, then you can sit down and create what it is that you want. And I'm a massive believer of that. Create the career that you want, not that you think you need to become a part of, because that's what everybody else does. And yes, we've got to do jobs that, pay the bills and stuff like that. But there comes a point where you can be doing other things that, like writing your own music, creating your own albums, that is your outlet, as well as doing the functions and doing the restaurant gigs and doing all that kind of stuff. You can create your own thing, and you can get rid of all this outwardly stuff of people, the criticism and the rejection and stuff like that. And I'm not saying escape from it or just turn your back on it and just kind of pretend it's not there. Of course it's there, but you don't have to, it doesn't have to be your life, Someone else's opinion of you as a performer and a singer doesn't really matter if you believe in yourself. So I think that's the main key tip I've got in dealing with the industry, is to believe in yourself, create your own work, and go for it. Because it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. If you believe you can do something, you can do it. And I am a massive believer of that. So how do we deal with like stage fright or stress and anxiety about performing, or just like we've been talking about dealing with the industry and rejection and your confidence getting knocked and things like that? I found a massive tip for me is to meditate. Now, if you've never meditated before, it might seem like a totally way out there thing, oh, I don't know if that's for me. But meditation can take so many different forms. Now, when I got back into meditation, I used an app to start with. I use a Calm app, and you can use like a 7-day focus thing, or you can have kind of things before you go to sleep. It's great. It just relaxes your mind and your body, and it just gives yourself a little bit of time to just stop your brain going a bit crazy. So I'd suggest, if you can, trying to do 5 to 10 minutes a day, either guided meditation or, your own meditation. And meditation, like I say, can take many forms. Doesn't mean that you have to just sit there in silence with your eyes closed. It can mean just sitting there and just looking outside at the clouds, or, things like that. It just means taking a bit of time to let your brain slow down, because this is a very full-on career. When you get up to perform in front of people, it's scary, It can be really scary. It can totally take you over, and, all the things that go on in your mind. But if you can kind of focus that, it's all good. That energy, that worry, that stress, that strain can be turned into something else. So I think it's really important to just find a way of relaxing, meditating, taking a bath. That's my biggest thing. I love taking a bath. Now, I don't always get the chance to do it. I used to have one every day before I had children on an evening, and it'd be so relaxing. And I don't get to do it as often now, just because, there's other things to do. But do it. I need to do it more. You need to do it. So relax, meditate, get in the bath, just self-care, making sure you take time for self-care, because it can get a bit crazy, Depends what you do as a job, Do you do this as a job professionally, full on? Are you doing this as a side thing? Are you wanting to get into this as a career? Whatever it is, there's going to come a point where you need some kind of help mentally, because it's mentally demanding. It's a mentally, physically, whole body, just like experience being a performer. And from the years that I've done it, it's like this. There's days I get up to perform, I couldn't care less what anyone thinks or anything, and it's great. I'm like, yeah, I can just let it all out, And then there's days when I'm like, because of whatever's going on in your life and you don't feel so great. But it's finding ways of dealing with that to help it work for you. Now, last but very not least is kind of dealing with the whole being self-employed thing. Now, I'm sure this works differently in different countries and all that kind of thing. But obviously, being self-employed, you are responsible for your own tax, you're responsible for keeping accounts for whatever you've earned and all that kind of stuff. And just being organised as a person. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not the most organised person at all. So yeah, this is good for me to kind of keep in mind a lot as well, is just making sure that, you know, you're organised. You know what you might need to do, you know, whether it's teaching or you've got some gigs, you know, the dates, the times, where you need to be, things like that are sometimes not musicians' best traits. You know, we're not often the most organised people. We're not often the most, you know, good at making lists and scheduling and stuff like that. But it is useful, because you've got to remember that as a singer, if you're doing this as a job, then you are your own business. You're running your own business. And I've been self-employed now ever since I left Lipper. You know, there have been occasions where with the vocal coaching, I have been employed by a school or a university. But essentially, I'm self-employed. You know, I have to schedule lessons. I have to schedule my time. I have to sort out rehearsals. I have to turn up on time to things. I have to be at gigs. You know, if it's somebody's wedding or it's a big corporate do, you know, a business thing, you know, you have to be organised or no one is going to use you because you're not reliable. So being reliable, being organised, getting your stuff sorted, you know, in terms of money, tax, so you don't get caught out. You know, you don't want to end up caught out and paying a load of tax because you've not put anything aside. And I've learned that along the way. You know, you might think at first, oh, I'm not earning that much money anyway. But the thing is, at some point you might, and then it stings you like anything. So be prepared. Go on a little business course. You know, if you're running your own band and you want to get out there and you need to publicize things, you know, you might need to be, the things I've needed to do across the last, you know, probably more so over the last 10 years is building my own website, you know, creating my own promotional stuff, making business cards, finding people to do logos for me. You know, I'm not saying you need to learn all this stuff yourself. Like I said, you can find people to help you to do stuff. You know, creating videos, creating audio, writing, recording albums, recording them ourselves, you know, as a band, or, you know, me and my husband have created our own studio, which is in here actually, over the other side. You know, we record things in here. So setting up, you know, your own little recording studio, it's like you've got to think a lot for yourself. You've got to be very self-motivated and you've got to have a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to build a business and to build your life as a performer, because it's not simple and it's not straightforward and no one else is going to do it for you. So that's my biggest tip really, is just to get organised and just to see it as a business and not just as something that's a load of fun and you know, you can just kind of do it on a whim. It doesn't work that way, believe me. It really doesn't. So just taking responsibility for yourselves. Get better organised, which I still have a lot to learn, and just understanding how the business works really. So yeah, finding courses. There's loads of stuff online now that you can do. But yeah, you know, I could talk about stuff like this. There's loads of other stuff that I think is essential for a singer, for survival and stuff like that. But I've tried to keep it small and keep it to, you know, certain things like health and the gear, and then touching on this kind of being in the industry stuff, because it's important. And for me, it's all this stuff's been essential, but also a learning curve. So don't think that you need to learn this stuff or know all this stuff straight away or get all the gear that I've talked about straight away. But it's an investment. This is a business you're running. You as a person are your business. So investing in gear, investing in self-care, investing in looking after yourself, you know, making sure that you're okay is essential to you surviving being a singer. And apart from all that stuff, when you make it work, it's great. And there's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times. But if it's what you love and it's what you want to do, then go for it. and you can do it. So thanks for joining me on the Singer's Advice Survival Guide. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you can take away some tips and tools that you can use. And let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything I missed out. I've probably missed out loads of things, but let me know what you find useful for your survival as a singer and a performer in this industry. And yeah, we can help other singers, which is why I do this. I want to help people. I want to help you to be the best singer that you can be, and being, having all the things that you need to kind of guide you on the way is sort of my way of helping. And yeah, let me know how you're getting on, if there's anything else you need, and if there's anything you want to ask, please do. Sarah@singersadvice.com. You can contact me there. You can go to the website, you can go to YouTube and check out all the lessons and things on technique and vocal health. And there's going to be some courses and things coming very, very soon your way. But until then, I will see you next time at Singer's Advice.